Ricky Rubio said it best. I can be here and try to be positive, but we have the worst record in the league. We've lost too many games by 20 plus. I don't feel like this is building something. It's hard. You always have to take positive things. Of course, we'll watch film and get better. At some point, we got to start wanting to change something, and it's not happening. Rubio acknowledges the challenges of a midseason coaching change for a young team. However, he also said while players want to win now, they still have to be patient. The implications here are the Timberwolves aren't building good habits and that Ricky Rubio doesn't see how this improves. I agree with Rubio that things need to change with the Timberwolves. For starters, on defense, they have bad communications and players need to do a better job of consistently pressuring the ball. On offense, they have terrible shot selection. Even with Chris Finch emphasizing ball movement and playing with an even faster pace than they already were playing with Ryan Saunders, we still see key players such as D'Angelo Russell, Anthony Edwards, and Malik Beasley take inefficient shots. We can also argue that the bad shot selection is because there isn't much off-ball motion, so half the time it's just someone calling an ISO and everyone standing around watching the ball handler try to create for themselves. Besides Rubio and Towns, they need leaders to set examples and have better communication as a whole team and within the organization. And with the roster, they have some good pieces in place, but there are players that could be moved here and there. I'm looking right at you, Hernan Gomez. Losing on a young team was likely always going to be a part of the deal, and I understand that. Though, honestly, I thought they would kind of be contending for a play-in tournament. And I get that's still just talking about the 10th seed, but that was a lot better than what this season has turned out to be. At this point, Chris Finch needs to play everyone so he can just see what they'll do with their minutes, except he just doesn't need to play Ed Davis or Juan Hernan Gomez because they're both terrible. So let's break down what I believe the Wolves can do to turn their fortunes around. So before we start this video right here, let me hear down below in the comments what you think of the Timberwolves. First, build around Malik Beasley, Anthony Edwards, and Karl Anthony Towns. We can all agree that the reasons for building around Karl Anthony Towns are self-explanatory. Malik Beasley is averaging 20.5 points per game, 4.5 rebounds per game, 2.5 assists per game, while shooting 45% from the field and 40% from three. Malik Beasley is a plus defender at best, but Malik is developing into what I believe could be a third star next to him and Cat. He's such a versatile scorer who can score at will anywhere on the court. And Anthony Edwards could maybe be that second star or the third star and Malik be the fourth star next to a second star next to Cat. But Anthony Edwards is averaging 14.9 points per game, 4 rebounds per game, 2.5 assists per game, 1 steal per game, while shooting 37% from the field, 30% from three, which aren't rookie of the year numbers and might not impress you, but he has shown flashes of potentially being the hyper athletic two-way monster that kind of gets me a half chub if I think too long about it. With that being said, I don't hate D'Angelo Russell and I don't love him. I think he's a great point guard and I could argue that he is a top 10 point guard in the NBA. I just don't know if he plays winning basketball or is a player who can create that culture within an organization. I know the Nets went to the playoff with him, but why did both the Nets and Lakers trade him when they got more established stars or a player they presumed better? This makes me curious. Is he a guy you can make a deep playoff run with? I love to keep him around and have him prove me wrong, but if the Timberwolves feel the same way I do, they should just trade him as soon as possible so they can get max value back on their initial trade. Though, for the sake of the video, we're going to presume the Wolves keep D'Angelo Russell for long term. Their only free agents after this season are Jared Vanderbilt, who they should keep, and Ed Davis, and two-way player Jordan McLaughlin. And obviously they should keep Jordan, get rid of Davis. So let's say the four guys who stay are D'Lo at point, Malik Beasley at shooting guard, Anthony Edwards at the small forward, and now they can either find a defensive-minded power forward who can shoot threes, which are really hard to find and aren't cheap if you do find one, or they can move Cat to the power forward spot on offense, have a good rebounding big man with above-average defense next to him on offense. So on defense, Cat switches to guarding centers, and the big man switches to guarding power forwards on defense. So I think this could really work. But what would work even better if they trade for someone like Larry Nance Jr., who's a decent defender at very least and a phenomenal rebounder, and he's a small ball 5. He's more of a size of power forward, but he can play the center position. So I believe their best options for this power forward spot is either to find a player similar to Jeremy Grant or Aaron Gordon. And I really would love to see him get a guy like Thaddeus Young, who is looking like the Kroger version of Draymond Green. And Larry Nance would be obviously my favorite choice for them to bring in. Though if they decide a big man would be their best option, I would love to see them try and get Mason Plumlee, which they could honestly attach Ricky Rubio or Hernan Gomez to a future first-round pick to get him, because I believe after this season, Detroit will want to play Isaiah Stewart more than Plumlee. We can all agree, unless Ricky Rubio says he doesn't want to, that they will either trade or buy him out, because why does he want to stay on a losing team? And he's made it adamant that he doesn't want to lose. And he's not trying to be part of the Wolves rebuild 2.0. I think Josh Okogie and Jarrett Culver should be traded. Okogie's the better defender, and Jarrett Culver himself is a plus defender when he tries, but neither of them can shoot the basketball. Josh Okogie has regressed in his shooting, that he's now under 40% from the field and under 25% from three after having an okay shooting year last year, and he hasn't been great on defense as he was his first 2 years in the league. Jarrett Culver has never shot over 30% from three so far in his career, but he's at least shooting above 40% from the field. I believe Josh Okogie will most likely be moved for either picks or a player as his contract expires before Jarrett Culver's does, and I can see a contending team that needs defense trading for Okogie. Now, if we break down Jaden McDaniels, Jalen Noel, Naz Reid, Jared Vanderbilt, and Jordan McLaughlin should all be guys who should be part of Chris Finch's key rotation for the rest of the year. So we can see which of these guys can be carried over to the next year and be a part of that rotation. Jaden McDaniels is a great shot blocker who could be a 3-and-D power forward at like his ceiling, and Naz Reid could become a good off the bench center for the Wolves or even start alongside Cat if they want to go big. I love Jared Vanderbilt's constant hustle and everything he does because it barely shows up on the stat sheet, and he's just pretty adequate all around. Jordan McLaughlin has shown flashes of his scoring 3-point ability, so I think let's let this man play so we can see if he can be a microwave or a quality backup point guard, maybe like a Monty Morris. Jalen Noel, I haven't watched much of him in the NBA, but he seems like he could be a decent 3-point shooter off the bench. So the Wolves have depth besides Malik Beasley and Anthony Edwards and Karl Anthony Towns as their main pieces, and they have such young talent in Jay McDaniels, Jalen Noel, Naz Reid, Jared Vanderbilt, and Jordan McLaughlin. That's 8 guys right there under the age of 26. 9 if you include D'Angelo Russell as that part of the future. If they keep these 8 to 9 guys, add veterans who are close or above 40% from 3 and are plus defender, then this team really could do a 180 and be playoff contenders. So that's it. That's all I have today, guys. I hope you guys did enjoy it. Let me know what you guys think of the Timberwolves down below.